Hi and welcome. What I'd like to do in this sort of warm-up for the class here is just go through the syllabus. There's a copy of the syllabus in your welcome homepage, welcome module. And let's just walk through the syllabus step by step here and talk about what we're going to try to accomplish in this class this semester. First of all, the catalog description is there. Hopefully you've all seen that before. It's fairly long, but pretty good. Specific attention to the importance of supply chain optimization to overall marketing strategy. Supply chain is a big part of marketing, as a matter of fact. Relationship to strategy formulation. We're going to talk about how we make strategy and how we make it work. Brand management, business-to-business relationships, and this B2C relationships as well. All of those things are included in the course, and let's get started with what we're trying to achieve. So in all my courses, I always start out saying, this is what I hope that by the end of the course you will have learned. And we'll go through this step by step. There's 5 outcomes, 5 things I'd like you to know by the time this course is over. The first one is really kind of basic, but really important. If you haven't worked in marketing, you probably don't use or understand necessarily marketing jargon and methods. So jargon, as you all know, is the specific language for a profession, and marketing has its own jargon, just like the marine industries have their own jargon, and engineering has its own jargon, and accounting has its own jargon. Well, marketing has its own jargon. So you need to know that because you're going to be working with marketers, whether you work as a marketer. If you're in your professional careers, you're definitely going to work with marketers. You want to be able to communicate. So you need to know what they're talking about when they throw their words around. So that's important. And then sort of the basic techniques and methods of marketing are important to know, and we will learn those. You'll know those by the end of the course. Second piece, analytical skills necessary to prepare a marketing plan. So marketing plans you might think of as sort of by rote, but they're not. There's a lot that goes into marketing plans. There's a tremendous amount of strategic thinking that goes into marketing plans. What are we trying to accomplish? How are we going to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish? How do we implement those things? And then how do we figure out whether they're working? How do we evaluate the process and control the process? So once again, really important stuff to know. Somewhat basic, but many of you have never had a marketing course. So if you have, you'll have a leg up here, but we'll go into some depth in this area. Third outcome, all marketers or all marketing is interconnected with other business activities. You can't be a logistician and just work with logisticians. Logistics is a piece of everything else that happens in the marketplace or within the business, and marketing is the same. So what you're going to find out is that, yeah, this is a marketing course, and maybe you've had some human resource courses, or you've had some accounting courses. All of these things are related. They're not really separate. They're integrated, and they need to be integrated. So you can't be a specialist and just be in one area. You have to be a generalist and understand the other areas within the business. And as you move up in management, you need to understand even more because you're more involved in the overall aspects of business. So that's the third outcome. And those 3 outcomes we're going to learn pretty much using a typical teaching model with textbook and lectures and tests to evaluate whether you've learned them. So this is the nuts and bolts. The more interesting, I think, but certainly and sometimes the more challenging part of the course is the 4th and 5th outcomes that we're looking for here. Learning to work as teams, to understand how other people work, to lead and or participate in teams, There'll be some teamwork in the course, and there'll be a fair amount of judging of other people's efforts. So when we're doing case studies, you may work individually or you may work in small groups, but you're going to evaluate the results of other teams and understand that, hey, there's lots of different ways to skin a cat. There's lots of different ways to solve problems. There may not be one right way. There's lots of ways to do things. So learning how to do that, learning how to build a team or work in a team to get the best result from your efforts is a big part of what we're going to be doing in the course. And then the fifth one is, how do we look at business situations from a marketing perspective, because this is a marketing course, where we don't have all the information we'd like to have. We don't know everything we'd like to know. Sometimes information is unavailable. Sometimes information might be available, but it's too expensive to obtain. So how do we deal with that? In the real world, generally, you don't have all the information you need. And generally, what's going to happen in the future is unknown. So we're going to use case studies. We're not in the real world. We're in the classroom to a certain extent. But we're going to use case studies to approximate real world situations where case studies don't have answers necessarily. I can't say this is what you need to do to succeed in this case study. You're going to take the information that's in the case and you're going to make decisions based on the information you have. So we're going to be doing several case studies, probably 3 over the course of the semester. We won't start them right away. We'll start them pretty soon into the course, and we'll do several different kinds of case studies looking at specific marketing problems. So those are the 5 things that I hope you learn. And the 5th one is really the key. If you've learned all of these the first 4, you should be able to successfully do the 5th. You have to have the knowledge of all of this stuff up here in order to do this stuff down here. So they're interrelated, and you'll gain this knowledge throughout the course, and the cases will be escalate to use more and more of that knowledge as you go along. My information here, there's my name and so forth. I am available to you both in my office, which is the 326, and that should have a 207 in front of it, I guess, for those of you who are out of area. 326-2122. There's my email address. I've also given you my cell phone, which is my personal cell phone, and my home office number. So if you do need to reach me, you can reach me. I'm not always in my office, and many of you are in different time zones. So if you're trying to reach me, it may be out of regular business hours. So any one of those numbers, if you have to reach me, you can also reach me through the Canvas page. There's web mail in the Canvas page, and I get those announcements as well. So any of those ways to get hold of me. The textbook we're using is the Marketing Plan Handbook, and those of you who have had me for undergraduate marketing, we used the same book. We're going to use it somewhat differently in this class, but it's a very hands-on, user-friendly book. It's not really like a textbook, quite small. And I think the kind of book that you may use going forward was written more for practitioners than for students. So it was written for somebody, well, I've been just promoted to being head of marketing and I really don't know anything about marketing. What do I do now? And it sort of walks you through how to create a marketing plan step by step. So I find it a pretty useful textbook. It is something you should have. You can get it from the bookstore at MMA, both used or new. It's also available through Amazon or whatever. And I would like you to get the 5th edition. There is a 6th edition out there. That's okay too. And if you can't find the 5th and you get the 4th edition, that's all right too. We're not going to go directly from the textbook, but the examples change a little bit as you go through. They get more modernized. There will also be some journal articles and magazine and newspaper articles through the course of the semester, and then there'll be case studies that I will assign. And just as a note, I'm not sure that this will happen, but some case studies do require you to pay a small amount for the case study. I don't know that I'll use any of those case studies, but if I do, there might be a $10 or $20 charge that you have to pay to acquire the case study. As we go through, we'll figure that out, but just so you know that the textbook plus the case studies might be something you have to purchase. I'm going to assess you and grade you based on a few things. There'll be 2 quests, which are approximately 1-hour tests. They will be timed, they'll be given online, and they will be essay answers, so short answer essays. And they're going to be related to mostly the lectures and the textbook material. So outcomes 1, 2, and 3. And then there'll be project and case studies, which are also a key part of the course. The project and case studies will require the knowledge that you've learned in 1, 2, and 3, but primarily focused on outcomes 4 and 5. So 2 different assessment methods. Participation is important, and this course will have class discussions, especially revolving around the cases. And there most likely will be at least one group project. So you will have to participate, and if you don't participate, you're not going to succeed in the course, and you will pay a penalty as well in your grades. I really like to quote this Chinbro quote that they put in all of their conference rooms at their headquarters. All of us are smarter than any of us. That's why group work works, and it's an important thing to remember. Groups can be frustrating and time-consuming, but they also work really well, because what your peers know is not necessarily what you know. And if you can put that knowledge together and make it work, you have a multiplier effect. So in terms of grades, 450 or 225 points per quest, 45% of your grade on a 1,000-point scale. Case studies, projects, and discussions will be 500 points or 50% of your grade. And then there'll be a participation grade overall on all aspects of the course for another 5% of the grade. So a total of 1,000 points, 45% for quests or tests, 500 points for case studies, and 50 points for participation. The grading works as follows in terms of percentages. So if you're above a 93, that's an A, and so forth. And this is a graduate course, so a B- or better is considered successful completion of the course. Anything less than a B- is not successful completion of the course. The general outline or schedule of lectures is here. So weeks 1 through, oh wow, I didn't change this. I think this is wrong. Let's get rid of that. There will be a spring break after week 7. Let's pause right now and I'll fix. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Last time I taught this course, I used the same course outline, and it was in the fall, so there was a Thanksgiving break. There will be a spring break after week 7. So we'll finish up week 7. We'll do quest 1, and then you'll have a week off, and then we'll crank into week 8 through 14. You'll notice that week 13 and 14 are called flex time. That's because we generally end up taking a little longer in some areas and a little less time in others, especially when you're working on cases and group work. So I haven't put that in there, but I've left some time. So we'll use that time up, I can guarantee you. But it will fit in wherever we need to fit it in. So we may get a little bit off schedule here as we go through. It seems to be inevitable. And then your quest 2 is in finals week. Case studies are fluid, so the timing of the introduction I haven't put in this schedule because I'm going to gauge where you're all at, and we're going to choose to go forward with case studies as I understand where you're at for your understanding of what we're doing. I believe there'll probably be 3, though I put in here several, so I might make it 4 or 2, but I'm pretty sure there'll be 3 case studies. And some will be group projects and some will be assigned individually. So that's kind of the overall case studies and project setup. And then the rest of this is pretty standard. There is an academic honesty policy at MMA, and there's the information on it. I may choose to use Turnitin, which is a program that examines your material and tells me whether anybody in the whole world has ever written the same thing. So if you've copied it, it would show up here. So I expect no one to do any copying. That's Turnitin, and Turnitin requires me to submit your work, so therefore you have to understand that I have the right to submit your work to Turnitin, which means that it will be out there and might be used to check somebody else's work that they didn't copy your paper. And then other things about academic accommodations and so forth, Title IX, all of those things are there. You can read through those. And that pretty much wraps up the overview of your syllabus. So that's kind of everything for the welcome, and we'll crank into some actual material starting in on the what is it, the 13th, I think, is the first day of real classes. So I'll have posted on Sunday the 12th. You will have both the welcome module available to you, and you'll have the first week of material. Make sure you do your bios, and let's have fun this semester. Thanks. Bye.